Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Dhamma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Is there a box that needs to be poked now?
Probably. There we go.
Oh. So where are we in our text?
Chapter 16.
Number 29.
Is the camera pointed at me?
Yes.
Okay.
There we go. Tulyakala samudbhuta vitaretara yogino yogacha sanskrito yastu sonyam hikshitu tumarhiti. That particular one of two things existing at the same time and connected with each other is fit to depend on the other, owing to whose connection it is benefited.
Okay, I'm not quite sure where he's going to go with this, but the idea is, for example, if I see an object, the perception of the object is dependent on the seeing. If I cognize anything, the object of cognition is dependent on the knower for its cognition. So let's see where he takes this idea. Going on.
Rishadhyastu yatra syat nashastra no mataha sarvanasho bhavedyasya mokshaha kasya phalam vada. Our doctrine is that there is false superimposition on the self and its negation in the same self. Please tell me who will attain liberation, the results of knowledge, according to you who hold that all, i.e. both the superimposed and the substratum, are annihilated.
Oh, so this is Shankara's attempt to refute the objection that we had going on before. Such as the Buddhist notion that the ground of being itself is impermanent. So how can there be a superimposition on something that isn't even really there? So it's to try to use logic again. So the Shunyavadins, this is a particular school of Buddhism, not the whole branch of Buddhism, posit that consciousness and the objective world arise dependently. Consciousness changes as well as the objects change. Both are impermanent. The logical notion he's putting forward, you can't have a superimposition on something unless there actually is a substratum. Let me see if I can give an example. So if you imagine the child of a barren woman, now can you superimpose a princess who was never born on a child of a barren woman? That makes no sense. So imagination in and of itself is a superimposition on consciousness. Vedanta thunders there's an eternal substratum, you. And false knowledge is superimposed on it. It actually never really robbed its experience of the self. So when you were 10 years old, you had a different body, a different life, different thoughts and feelings. Now you're an adult. Everything knowable has changed, but it's the same you that has known the 10-year-old, the 15-year-old, the 20-year-old. I don't think any of you are much older than 20. All right, next verse.
Asti tavat savayam nam jnanam vatmanya devava bhava bhava gyatastasya na bhava stva tiganyate. That one exists is undoubted. You may call it knowledge, self, or whatever you like, but its non-existence cannot be admitted, as it is the witness of all things existing and non-existing.
So you can call it ground of being, you can call it Buddha nature, you can call it primordial mind, you can call it Shiva, you can call it Vishnu. You can attribute whatever name you wish to. The Upanishads use the word Brahman. Wonderful word. The root is bird, which means really, really big. And it's a neuter noun. But its nature is pure awareness. Its nature is pure consciousness. And if you posit that it too is impermanent, then by virtue of what is its absence known? This is the point. Can you see that there's a phone in my hand? Can you see that there's no phone in my hand? So presence and absence are known. So if consciousness itself is impermanent, what is it that knows the absence of consciousness? See, we're caught there. All right, next verse.
Yenadhigamyate bhava tat satasyattanan chet bhavet bhava bhavanabhigyatvam lokasya yan cheshyate. That by which the non-existence of things is witnessed must be real. All would be ignorant of the existence and non-existence of things if that were not the case. Therefore, yours is a position which cannot be accepted.
Yes. So even if awareness itself were impermanent, the absence of it is absolutely unverifiable. For example, what is it that's beyond the edge of the known universe? Scientists say that there was inflation and it expanded to 3/4 of its current size. Okay, well, let's say it's now 4/4. But what's outside the known universe? Unverifiable by definition. Unverifiable. So whether or not consciousness is impermanent is an unverifiable proposition. It's interesting because I don't know whether I've been misinterpreted, but I can remember back reading some Sri Aurobindo who said that, oh, his realization was different than everybody else's. They just realized the self. He's realized the self beyond the self. Okay. And who is the knower of that? If the self is me, oh, that's the self beyond the self. That's an object of cognition, fundamentally unreal. The self is that by which everything is known, without which nothing can be known. Listen carefully, beyond which there is nothing to know. The buck stops with you. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Sadasat jeti vikalpat pragyatishyate tadvaitam samatvattu nityam nanyadvik liptat. That which must be admitted to exist before the deliberation about existence, non-existence, or both, is one without a second, as there cannot be a cause of diversity before there is any superimposition on it. It must be eternal and different from what is superimposed.
So you and I can have all our ideas about philosophy. Does the self have the power of choice or will or not? These are philosophical ideas. I say that it does. This person says that it doesn't. Both ideas are known by. I say dualism is the highest truth. Even Shankara, 3/4 of everything he wrote is devotional hymns. Just by numerics, he must have been a dualist. Worship the Lord. What do you need to know about God? It's not you. It's the divine, unknowable, unclear. Perfectly beautiful philosophy. It's just ideas. Who knows that philosophy? I do. Well, I don't think it's true. I believe in non-dualism. Who's aware of the philosophy of non-dualism? So this is why the Vedantin has no need to argue with any other school of philosophy. We define real as that which is never subject to negation, which never changes, never moves, is unaltered. The only aspect of being that pertains to is the pure subject. Which is self-evident, swayambhu. I was reading a book where it said we have an intuitive knowing that I am. I'm not even sure I use the word intuition, but the bottom line is nobody can deny their own feeling. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Vikalpodha bhavato sattvam swapna drishya vadishyatam dvaitasya pragasatvacha sadasatvadi kalpanat. Except duality is unreal, for it comes to exist by way of superimposition like dream objects, and does not exist before the deliberation about its existence, non-existence, etc.
So, to go back to what Gaudapada says in the Mandukya Karika, the dream world is determined to be unreal. The objects in it are seen to be unreal because you wake up and you negate them. The objects, feelings, thoughts, situations of the waking state are also unreal. The proof of their unreality is that they are seen. All objective phenomena in any mind state, without exception, it's just a light show. You are a permanent, changeless entity. The permanent, changeless entity. Don't believe me? Get to your direct experience. In a quiet mind, examine yourself. A very simple but powerful practice of Ramana Maharshi. Koham. Who am I? Next verse.
Vacharamha णशास्त्राच्च विकाराणां ह्यभावता मृत्योः स मृत्युमित्यादेर्मम मायेति च स्मृतेः. All the modifications of the primeval cause are known to be unreal according to the scriptures, which say that they have words only for their support, and that he dies again and again, and so on. The Smriti also says, Maya is difficult to be got rid of.
Yes. So Smriti here is a reference to Gita. He's quoting Krishna. So as Shankara is always seen to do, as he discusses a philosophical idea, at the end, he footnotes. Why? For a Hindu, scripture is the ultimate authority. So he backs up his idea by quoting scripture. That's all. Next one.
Vishuddhishchat evasya vikalpach vilakshanaha upadeyo na heyota atmananyera kalpitaha. The self is therefore pure and is of a nature contrary to that of what is superimposed. Hence, it can neither be accepted nor rejected. It is not superimposed on anything else.
Yes. So I can accept or reject various activities, thought structures, etc. I can accept or reject this is real, that is not real. This is a superimposition, but always the inevitable, constant, eternal fact is aham. The totality of Vedanta is articulated in the four great Mahavakyas. The first one, Prajnanam Brahma. Brahman is consciousness. That's what it is. It's not a lump of stuff someplace. Where is it located? I am Atma, Brahma. This self is Brahman. Oh, Guruji, you're the self, I'm a worm. No. Tat Tvam Asi. You are that. That third one we call the Upadesha Mahavakya. Upadesha means instruction or teaching. So all the various branches of yoga are implied in that third Mahavakya. So we do our devotional practice, we do our karma yoga, we practice discrimination between the self and the not self. We endeavor to see the entire world as nothing but Brahman. And we renounce all our attachments, all our thoughts of self. Auspicious moment, mind slips into samadhi. Personal sense of self is gone. So the fourth Mahavakya does not say Aham Muni, Aham Jivan Mukta, Aham Guru. No. Aham. I'm not a sage. I'm not a liberated soul. I'm not Guru. I am. No personal sense of self is real. Don't believe me. Believe the scripture. Your mind made thin. Introvert attention. See if you can find some miserable person. I can find a lot of miserable ideas. But those are things, no, they're not Chidakash space. Chidana. This conscious. Where did the person go? So just like you could be having a vivid dream, in the middle of the night you wake up because you have to go pee, you go to the bathroom, you pee, you go back to bed, and you enter the same dream. Sometimes it happens. So also you and I in meditation or in satsang can wake up from the dream of egos. What do I mean? Oh, it's so clear. I'm just that space of consciousness. Then we go out, veil comes down, we fall asleep to our essential nature. I have all my problems, for I have been so successful. And the dream of ego. At some level, we know it's happening. Next verse.
Aprakasho yathaditye nasti jyoti sabhavataha nityabodha swarupatvan ajnanam tadvatmani. Just as there is no darkness in the sun, as it is of the nature of light only, so there is no ignorance in the self, as it is of the nature of eternal knowledge.
Yes. So here what Shankara is talking about is bondage and liberation occur to the mind. The self is ever free. Actually, no one ever really is bound. What is my bondage? My bondage is the deeply rooted belief that I'm a person, that I'm my body, the body plus the personality. I go here, I go there, I do this, I experience that. All based on this jiva bhavana, this attitude of feeling that I'm a person. Where's liberation? Inquire, investigate. And I see that that's a phony self. That's a shadow self. It's a construct of the mind. Thin the mind and it falls. What remains is what's been there all along, me. I don't get a new self. Just discovered that I had all these weird ideas about who I was. Even in my deepest misery. Anybody have a challenging time this week? Maybe got triggered or identified or plugged in? You?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you cease to exist?
No.
Were you aware of your upset?
Yes.
You didn't go away. Oh, I wasn't there. Instead, some weird lady was here instead of me. No. It's you to whom all this stuff happened, wasn't it?
Yes.
You went nowhere. In truth, you were safe. You were still just witnessing consciousness. Boy, is Maya powerful. I love what Shankara says in v29. We can't say that Maya exists. Can't say that it doesn't exist. Sure say that it's powerful. Isn't that our experience? Always. First comes the veiling power. Then comes the projecting power. The first projection is Jiva Bhavana. I feel like Jim. Feel like Adi. I feel like Mark. Then come all the wonderful Yiddish word suras. All the miseries and sorrows. But they cannot touch me. I just don't know that. It's like I have a beautiful shirt or blouse. I go out to dinner and I get a stain on it. I spent so much money on this shirt or this blouse. But you come home and you take it off and you were still you. You were not your blouse. You were not your shirt. It's just stuff. I was talking with a friend about a month or so ago, and he's been going through some very difficult times. And he did not pay attention to his mail. Most of his belongings are in storage. And he's a musician, there are awards and recordings and all this sort of stuff in the storage. Because he didn't check the mail, he didn't realize that the rent was overdue. Till finally, rental people called, I think a relative or whatever, I can't remember exactly how that happened. All his stuff is gone. They sold it or threw it all away. So distraught. My whole life is gone. My whole life is gone. No. Your stuff is gone. You it's just stuff. Now, the good news is he is a yogi. And he knows the key to peace of mind is vairagya. That desire to give up attachment to all experiences gained through the senses, all your stuff, all your experiences, and to give up identification, any notion of self. Part of his issue was, I used to be this person with you had accomplished all this. Well, actually, the person you are is sitting in front of you. You're not sharing the strength. Carnal fact is simply witnessing consciousness, which is never touched by the 6 waves of sorrow. I looked them up, but I forgot. Hunger, thirst, grief, delusion, decay, death. None of it touches. Next verse.
Tatha vitra yurupatvan navasthantara matmanaha avasthantaratve nashosya syana sanshayaha. Similarly, the self has no change of states, as it is of a changeless nature. It would, no doubt, be destructible if it underwent any change.
Yes. So some people think I am consciousness, but consciousness changes. Today I am depressed. Yesterday I had OCD. I took LSD and my consciousness changed. And what Shankara is saying, no. What changed were the mind states of which you are aware. We classically just lump them into waking, dream, and deep sleep. The waking state mind is what we're all in during the day. Deep sleep is pure ignorance. The dream state, we can say literalistically, means what happens at night, but it also means any altered state. For example, if you go under hypnosis, if you go through intense physical therapy in your body, if you do ecstatic dance and you're in some wonderful ecstatic state, we're not saying these things are wrong. We're saying they are unreal. What do we mean by unreal? They are subject to change. They can be negated. They pass. And of course, the big problem with the psychedelic, take the LSD trip and they go, oh, I've finally seen what's real. And actually, it is an illusion about this world, which is an illusion about what's real. Who was aware of the acid trip? When I got to tell you all the new things I saw them. Bother me, I'm telling you. Are you seeing them now? Oh, I came down. Who's aware of what's going on? I am crashing. If it has a beginning and an end, if it's subject to change, if it's confined to the waking dream or deep sleep state, if it has qualities or characteristics, most importantly, if it is knowable, it is not so. Do I need to go over again how you are in fact aware in deep sleep? Does everybody understand that? Yes, no?
We understand. Yeah.
Next verse.
There are 3 verses together. Moksho pasthantaram yasya kritakah sachalo hyatah na sanyogo viyogo va moksho yukta kathanchana sanyogasyapya nityatva dviyogasya tathaiva cha gamane chaiva swarupam tu nahi hiyate swarupasya nimittatva sanimitta hi chapare anupattam swarupam hi svenatyaktam tathaiva cha. Liberation becomes artificial and therefore transitory, according to the philosopher who holds that it is a change of one state into another on the part of the self. Again, it is not reasonable that it is a union with Brahman or a separation from nature. As both union and separation are transitory, liberation cannot consist of the individual self going to Brahman or of Brahman coming to it. But the self, one's own real nature, is never destroyed, for it is uncaused and cannot be accepted or rejected by oneself or by others, while other things, examples, states, etc., are caused.
So here he is striking at some of the basic misconceptions of what self-realization, what moksha, liberation is. So, Sankhya philosophy. Purusha, the individual spirit, is all tied up with prakriti, nature. So we have to beat up the bad nature to get the good spirit out. Do spiritual sadhana and the individual merges with Brahman. I am now one with Brahman. I didn't used to be, but now I am. Implies what we would call an ontological change, a change in my being. I'm a suffering worm in this body. I will now become one with God, merge into Brahman. Like a drop falling into the ocean. Shankara says, no. If there's any change at all, it's impermanent. If you could get glued to Brahman, you could get unglued to Brahman. If yourself is all tied up in nature and you get out of it, who's to say you can't get tied up again? So the term self-realization does not imply a change in being. You don't become liberated. I once was bound and now I'm free. No. I once was stupid and ignorant, and I was confused and deluded, and I thought I was bound. But now I see I never was bound. I was always free. Person is in a jail cell that doesn't have a door, but he's facing the other direction. Sir, why are you in jail? I don't know, but I'm in jail and I can't get out. There's no door. Turn around and walk out on it. I am bound. No, sir, you're free. Walk out. Go home. So, like the dreamer who thinks she is caught in some anxious predicament, the solution is for her not to resolve the issue of the dream. When she wakes up, where does it go? That was so weird. I'll give you a real live example. In the recovery community, especially in early sobriety, many people have what we call using dreams or drinking dreams. Very vivid. Wake up in the morning and you aren't sure for a moment. Did I get loaded? Did I drink? Or not? It seems so real. There's all the shame and disappointment. Oh my God, I relapsed. And then you consider, no, I didn't go out last night. Stayed home, I'm in bed. Waking up this morning. No, it was all a dream. I didn't actually use. But the dream was so vivid. Such is our spiritual ignorance. The dream of this world is very long, very vivid. The self in me is never really found. So at the moment of realization, it's not like, oh, I'm bound, I'm a person who's now a liberated soul, come touch my feet. It's, what a fool. All this time I thought I was a person. All this drama. And in truth, I'm nothing and always have been. Strange. Where is my ignorance gone? Poof. Marvelous is the mind that can create such a delusion, a illusion. Lord himself is the great Mayavi, Indravi, illusionist, juggler, hypnotist. Because the self is eternally Satchidananda. pure existence, pure awareness in this sense. What's my problem then, Jim? My mind. I have all these. First comes the veil. It's a spiritual sleep. Scriptures call it a Dharana Shakti. Then comes Vikshepa Shakti, the projecting power. And the person go struggle. That's it. And however vivid that dream is, it never affects, improves, touches. The problem is this. So we've got a little R2D2 robot projects the little image of Princess Leia. I don't like her. I'm just going to go beat her up. Nothing's happening to her. Why? Because there's nothing there. Knock yourself out. Take all the time and energy to fix yourself, to fix your work. Why don't you try a sword to see if that'll vanquish Princess Leia? An atom bomb to blow her up. I'm not going to speak to her. I'm going to give her a piece of my mind. Doesn't change it because it's just a projection. It's nothing substantial. So also is the personal sense of self. Give you a real life example. Had a hard time logging on to Zoom. I suspect all I have to do is enter the right password thing. My mind said, gee, I wonder if we've been hacked. If we've been hacked, what are they going to do? Oh, they're going to screw up all my classes. I didn't ever think that. Let's say I did. I made it all up. No, enter the right 4 digits. Oh, okay. You're not like that, Jim. That's what my mind does. That's what all of our minds do. Root cause of my bondage is ignorance of my essential nature. Actions do not destroy ignorance. What destroys ignorance? Knowledge. How do I gain knowledge? Good job. Investigation. Next verse. Ooh, yes, we've got 15 minutes.
Swarupatvan sarvasya tyaktum shakyo hyananyataha grahitum vatato nityo avishyatvat prithaktvataha. As it is the self of everything, and not different from anything, and not an object like a thing separate from itself, it cannot be accepted or rejected. It is, therefore, eternal.
So the self in me is not like the self in you. The self in me is the self in you. Nobody's ever had an experience of no self matter what you think, what you feel, what you do, you are an eternal fact. And yourself is not some clump of awareness separate from mine. It's the substratum, the ground being of the whole universe. I am Atma Brahma. The self is what God is. Next verse.
Atma tattva ch sarvasya nitya atmaiva kevalaha tyajyetasmat tityaya sarva sadhane sa mokshavid. Everything transitory is for the experience of the self, which is eternal and free from all adjuncts. Liberation is therefore nothing but being established in one's own self. As it is so, one aspiring after liberation should renounce all Vedic actions with their accessories.
Yes. So what he's implying here is, why do I do everything? I want to have chocolate. How will you feel if you have chocolate? Happy. I want to be safe in the world. How will you feel if you're safe in the world? I want to have really raunchy sex. How will I feel if I have that? I need more money. How will you feel when you have more money? I wish the politics were different. How would you feel if the politics were different? All the situations, all my actions are seeking the good by my highest understanding. When I get the good, how am I going to feel? In my ignorance, I think these people, places, things, and situations have inherent happiness. My job makes me happy. My spouse makes me happy. Defeating the people I don't like makes me happy. What actually is going on? The desiring itself makes me unhappy. I get what I want momentarily. The kama, the desire. Krishna, the thirsting. The spriha, the long. Goes away. And the mind comes home. What I'm seeking in the world, all this upset and hard work and struggle and toil, I already have. I went to see a stage production of The Wizard of Oz several months ago. It's a wonderful spiritual story. So the cyclone comes, Dorothy is whisked away to the land of Oz. She goes through all these adventures. At the end, she clicks her heels and loses the goose. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. She wakes up and everybody says, oh, we found her. And guess what? She never left home in the first place. That's you and me. Once I realize that the self is the fountainhead, the source of the blissful mind, I develop the desire to be free from desire. Vairagya, let it go, go. And the mind easily comes back. When a person casts off all the desires of the mind, O Partha, and is satisfied in the self by that solves great human mystery. One, what's the purpose of life? What's the meaning of life? What's it all about? No. All right, one more.
Atmalabha parolabha iti shastraupapatyah alabho alabhonyatmalabhastu natmanam. To know the real self to be one's own is the greatest attainment according to the scriptures and reasoning. To know wrongly the non-self, such as the ego, etc., to be the self, is no attainment at all. One, therefore, should renounce this misconception by knowing that one is Brahman.
So any pseudo-spiritual practice that seeks to inflate or improve the ego sense, i.e. the individual, I'm going to get better and more powerful, ultimately is at best partial, always temporary, and never enough. Get out. This is what the scriptures say. This is what the great sages say. If you really think it through, it is profound common sense. And hopefully, to some taste. And here when it says no need to do Vedic ritual, it means there's nothing out there in the world that we must do. May do. But give up the idea. What's wrong with my life? I don't have what I want. It's a great lie. I love one of Shankara's most vivid images. At least don't embrace a rotting corpse. thinking it's a beautiful ride. I really want this. I've got it. Don't worry. It will decay and die. Every including this body. And some of us, if you get really old, you get to walk around and watch it decay. Doesn't decay after death, it starts decaying before death. Body parts falling off and not working. But I goes nowhere. Don't believe it. Look to the direct experience. You have a photo of yourself as a 10-year-old or a 15. Where is that person? Okay, we'll end here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha.